This is still proper, she says. Her voice is steady, measured. Exactly the tone expected of a woman standing beside a duke in the main gallery of his own estate, beneath chandeliers and portraits and the quiet awareness of servants who know how to look without appearing to see. The duke does not answer immediately. They are standing close, but not unusually so. Close enough for escort. Close enough for courtesy. Close enough that no one would remark upon it. Except that his hand is already at her waist. Not gripping. Not possessive. Resting there as if it has always belonged. Yes, he says at last. It is. That should reassure her. It does not. Because he does not remove his hand. The gallery hums with soft conversation. Guests lingering after dinner. The low echo of footsteps on marble. The clink of glass somewhere behind them. The world continues exactly as it should. She becomes acutely aware of the exact placement of his fingers. Not high enough to be scandalous, not low enough to be mistaken. Just firm enough to be intentional. You don't usually stand like this, she murmurs. No, he agrees. And you don't usually touch people when you escort them. No. Her breath catches despite herself. Then you should move. I could, he replies. But you won't. No. The simplicity of the answer sends a faint shiver up her spine. She turns her head slightly, just enough to look at him from the corner of her eye. His expression is composed, unreadable to anyone else. Only she can see the focus there, the attention that does not wander, does not soften, does not pretend indifference. This isn't appropriate, she says quietly. No, he agrees. It's precise. That's not better. Yes, he says calmly. It is. She swallows. They begin to walk again, slowly, in time with the flow of guests moving through the gallery. His hand remains at her waist, guiding her with such subtlety that anyone watching would assume it is merely habit. She knows better. You're being observed, she says under her breath. Yes. And you don't care. I care very much, he replies. That's why I'm not pretending. Her pulse quickens. She keeps her posture perfect, her chin lifted, her expression serene. If anyone is watching, they will see only a duke escorting a woman of good standing through his home. They will not see the way her body has gone still around the place where he touches her. You're making this difficult, she says. I'm making it honest, he replies. They stop near one of the tall windows overlooking the grounds. Moonlight spills in, silvering the floor, outlining them in quiet contrast. His hand tightens just slightly, not enough to draw attention, enough to remind her it's there. This is still proper, she repeats more softly now. Yes, he says. Because you're still standing here. The truth of it lands harder than she expects. She could step away. She knows that. And so does he. She doesn't. They resume walking slower now, the pace unhurried enough to invite notice. Few heads turn. Someone nods respectfully to the Duke. Another smiles at her, proving curious. She feels the warmth of his hand through the layers of her gown, the steady pressure at her waist that keeps her aligned with him, even when she could drift a fraction of an inch away. You don't usually invite speculation, she says. No. And you don't let people think things you don't intend. No. She glances at him again. Then what do you intend? He considers that. Tonight, he asks. Yes. To walk with you, he says. Exactly like this. Her breath stutters. That's a very narrow answer. It's an accurate one. They pass beneath another chandelier, the light briefly illuminating them fully. She is suddenly aware of how this must look. His hand secure at her waist, her body angled just slightly toward his, their heads inclined closer than necessary. Anyone watching would assume intimacy. Anyone watching would be right. This won't go unnoticed, she says. No. And tomorrow. Tomorrow, he interrupts gently. People will remember what they saw. She stops walking. He stops with her, instantly, smoothly, his hand still in place. The movement draws a few glances. Nothing improper. Nothing obvious. Still, she turns to face him fully now. You're changing how I'm seen, she says quietly. He meets her gaze without flinching. I'm changing how we're seen, he corrects. Her chest tightens. That's not something you do lightly. No. And you didn't ask. No. She searches his face for arrogance. Finds none. Only certainty. You're very sure of yourself, she says. No, he replies. I'm very sure of this. His hand shifts then. Not lower, not higher, just closer. The heel of his palm pressing more firmly against her waist. The contact no longer deniable as casual. Her breath leaves her in a soft, involuntary exhale. You're still touching me, she says. Yes. In front of everyone. Yes. And you're not stopping. No. She closes her eyes for a brief moment, steadying herself. This isn't what people expect of you, she says. I know. And you don't mind disappointing them. I mind disappointing myself more, he replies. That quiet honesty undoes something in her. She opens her eyes again and meets his gaze. You don't usually take risks like this. No. Why now? He leans in slightly, not enough to be improper, just enough that only she can hear him. Because you haven't asked me to let go, he says. You've only named what everyone else sees. Her heart pounds. That's not consent. No, he agrees. It's recognition. She swallows. They stand there a moment longer, suspended between what is expected and what is already happening. Then she does something she doesn't expect herself to do. She shifts closer. Just a fraction. Enough that his hand now rests more fully against her. The contact warmer, more deliberate. His breath changes. Just slightly. You're very composed, she murmurs. Yes. And you're enjoying this. No, he replies. I'm committed to it. The difference matters. She exhales slowly. You won't remove your hand unless I asked. No. And if I don't? Then I'll keep it exactly where it is. She nods once, decision settling. Then we should keep walking, she says. His mouth curves faintly. Yes, he agrees. They move again, the gallery opening ahead of them, the murmured conversation flowing around their path. His hand does not move. If anything, it becomes steadier. At the far end of the room, the Duchess watches them with a look that is anything but surprised. Her gaze flicks to the Duke's hand, then to her face. Then she smiles. Not sharply, knowingly. The weight of that look sends a ripple of awareness through her. This has consequences, she whispers. Yes. And you're willing to accept them? Yes. She draws a breath, shoulders relaxing. Then stop pretending this is accidental, she says. He leans closer, his voice low. I haven't been pretending since you didn't step away. Her lips part slightly. She keeps walking. Keeps standing beside him. Keeps allowing his hand to rest at her waist in full view of everyone who matters. This is still proper, she says one last time, though now the words sound more like acknowledgement than warning. Yes, he agrees. Because we're not hiding. They reach the threshold of the next room, the light changing again, the hum of voices swelling. He pauses. She pauses with him. If you want me to let go, he says quietly, say so now. She looks at his hand, at the place it rests, at the room ahead full of witnesses. Then she looks up at him. Don't, she says. Something settles between them, quiet, irrevocable. He inclines his head slightly, as if accepting a formal instruction. His hand remains exactly where it is. And together, with nothing concealed but intention, they step forward into full view. They step forward together. Nothing dramatic happens, no gasp, no sudden hush, but the room changes all the same. Conversations soften. A few heads turn and then turn away again. The way people do when they sense something deliberate unfolding in front of them. His hand remains at her waist. Not possessive. Not casual. Certain. She feels it more keenly now that they are fully visible, fully acknowledged. The warmth of his palm seeps through the layers of fabric, grounding her even as the attention around them sharpens. You're aware of what this looks like, she murmurs. Yes, he replies. And you're not correcting it. No. They move slowly through the adjoining room, his pace matched perfectly to hers. Each step feels measured, intentional, as if they are no longer walking through a gathering, but through a decision already made. Someone greets the Duke. He inclines his head in response. No one comments on where his hand rests. No one needs to. She becomes aware of how natural it feels, how quickly her body has accepted this placement, this closeness. The earlier tension has shifted into something steadier, quieter. You don't usually make statements like this, she says. I don't usually need to, he replies. She glances at him. So why now? He does not answer immediately. They pause near another window, the night air cool against the glass, the reflection showing them as others see them, aligned unmistakably together. Because, he says at last, this stopped being hypothetical the moment you said don't instead of stop. Her breath catches. That's a very precise distinction. Yes. And you heard it clearly. Yes. She considers that, then nods once. You're right. They stand there a moment longer, neither of them rushing to fill the silence. His thumb shifts slightly at her waist. Not a caress, not a squeeze, just a subtle adjustment that makes his hold more secure. The movement sends a quiet thrill through her. You could still let go, she says softly. I could, he agrees. But you won't. No. She turns toward him more fully now, her body angling inward instead of away. The shift is small, but it closes the remaining space between them. This isn't an accident anymore, she says. No. And it won't be forgotten. No. She studies his face, searching for even a flicker of doubt. There is none. You don't usually give people this much certainty, she says. I don't, he agrees. But I don't ration it when I mean it. Something in her expression softens. You're very difficult to ignore, she murmurs. Yes. And impossible to misunderstand. Yes. She exhales slowly. I suppose that's why I didn't ask you to move. He inclines his head slightly, acknowledging the truth of it. They resume walking again, but this time there is no tension in it. No internal argument. Just forward motion. At the far end of the room, the Duchess watches them openly now. Her gaze flicks once more to the Duke's hand, then to her face. She lifts her chin instinctively. The Duchess's mouth curves, not sharply, not critically, but with something like approval. That look settles the last of her nerves. This has reached the point of no retreat, she whispers. Yes, he replies. That was inevitable. She smiles faintly. You say that as if you planned it. No, he says. I recognized it. They step out onto the terrace together, the cooler air washing over them. The noise from inside fades, replaced by the quiet expanse of night and stars. Here he finally shifts his hand, sliding it just slightly higher, resting it more securely at her side now that there are fewer eyes. The change is subtle, intimate. You waited, she observes. Yes. For privacy. Yes. But you didn't remove it in public. No. She laughs softly. You're very deliberate. I try to be, he replies. They stand at the balustrade for a moment, side by side, the estate grounds stretching dark and vast below them. You understand, she says quietly, that people will speak. Yes. And that they'll assume this means more than a single evening. Yes. She turns to him. Does it? He meets her gaze steadily. It means exactly what it looks like, he says. I don't do half measures. Her chest tightens at the certainty in his voice. And if I decide tomorrow that this was too much, she asks. His answer comes without hesitation. Then I will step back, he says. But I won't pretend tonight didn't happen. The respect in that answer settles something deep in her. She nods slowly. That's all I needed to hear. She shifts closer, her shoulder brushing his arm. This time the contact is hers to initiate. He responds immediately, his arm firming around her, drawing her just a fraction closer. Enough to be felt, not enough to overwhelm. Finally she speaks. When I said it was still proper, she says, I think I was trying to convince myself. Yes. And now? Now, he replies. You're not trying to convince anyone of anything. She smiles. No, she agrees. I'm not.